Alright guys, so in this section we are going to be talking about functions. So you must have, if you recall properly, you realize that I've mentioned function, especially when we started with our meta editor the first time we created our script. I mentioned function, but I promise you that we are going to discuss function in details in later lectures. Trust me, these are the lectures where we talk about functions, or let me say the beginning of the point where we start talking about functions. So now the question is, what is a function? Answer is as simple as a function is a reusable block of code that you create or you write in a manner so that it will help you solve a particular problem or do a particular set of instruction. For example, maybe you have a function that help you get the time, or you help you get the time in GMT. Maybe you have a function that help you get the close of a candle bar. Maybe you have a function that help you to get the exponential value of two numbers. Maybe you have a function that help you to return the number of bars on the chart, something like that. So like I said, a function is a reusable piece of code that is designed to do a particular thing. And for example, this onStart is a function from MQL4 that is meant to execute this script once. So once it is executed, it will terminate the script. So that is the essence of the function. So the onStart function, which we have been using so far ever since we start creating this script, is meant to to accumulate some logic, execute the logic once this script is launched, then terminate. So that is the essence of having this onStart function. Other function that we've dealt with so far is the comment function. We've used the comment function, we've used the alert function numerous times, we've used the message box function, we've used the print function, the print function. So these are functions. So what this basically what this do is send me a message in some form. For example, this send me a message on my chat, this send me a message with a notification, this send me a message that comes with an OK button, this send me a message in my expert tab, right? So these are inbuilt functions. They are already created by MQL4 for me, available for me to use. So all I need to do is, manipulate it and I'll get whatever result that I want using the function, right? So we have a lot of inbuilt functions in MQL4, and trust me, like I said, we have lots. Also, it's important for you to know the availability of some functions, even if you do not memorize them or memorize how they are meant to be used. So now functions have two cycles. The first cycle is the declaration, or the defining part. So you must define a function. So now, before we go into the part where we start developing our own function or writing our own function, let's quickly look at other inbuilt functions that are available in MQL4. So, and you realize that there are some that we've used, which is what I've listed. Another one that is available, like free for us to use, is called the iClose. For example, whatever value that this iClose is returning, we are going to assign it to a variable. Let's call this variable close. So it's going to be a double. So how do I know that it is a double? It is due to my experience. So when I say equal to, so to get this function, this inbuilt function, so I will say I close, right? So now you can see that it's prompting me. Then the moment I say open bracket, close bracket, then I put my semicolon, then you know what? Instead of saying open bracket, close bracket, that's the way I do my thing. So I'll just open this bracket, and you can see it is prompting me that now this I close is a function that takes in three parameters: the symbol that I want to get the close for, the chart symbol that I want to get the close for, what time frame, right, and what shift. And I will explain all of this. But before I do that, let me quickly explain this. So now, a function sometimes returns something and sometimes does not return something, depending on the structure or what you are planning to do. So in this case, this is returning something, and it is returning a double value, and that is why I said the data type for this close, which I want to assign to whatever this function is going to return, I want it to be double. So I already know that through experience. And in the case maybe you do not know, you're not sure, maybe you've written int, then while you are writing this function, you realize that this is returning a double. Automatically come back to change this back to double. So let's assume, what I mean is, let's assume you've written it to be int. Then when you try to write the function, you now realize that, oh, it's not returning int, it is returning double. So you are meant to change it back to double, right? Now, so these are the parameters this function is expecting. So that means if you want to use this function, this iClose function, which is an inbuilt function, you must specify these three parameters so that it can get you the close of the candle that you want. So now, what is the symbol? The symbol is the instrument, the security, the pair that you wish to get the close for. So I can simply say the chart symbol. So what is this? This is an identifier, right? Then I can say, what is the time frame? I can say the current time frame, right? No, now it's asking me that for what bar, right? So basically in MQL4, the bars are labeled in form of an index or shift. So starting from the one on the rightmost part, the value of the rightmost part candle is 0. Let me quickly show you what I mean. So for example, let me zoom close. Okay, this is the highest. So for example, okay, let me switch back to 15 so that this will not change while we are here. So for example, this candle, which is the rightmost part, is of index 0. This one is of index 1. This is 2, index 3, index 4, and so on, right? So now, this candle is of what? Index 1, 2, 3, this starting from 0. So that is it. So if I want to get the close of this candle, of course, it is still forming. So it is not yet finalized. So let's assume I want to get the close of this candle. So I will say, get me close of this chart symbol, which I've specified for this chart time frame, and for shift 1, which is index 1, right? So that is what I'll be doing. So I'll just say index 1. So that is that. Then I can alert the value, right? So I can say close. So I'll save and I'll compile. So when I launch this, so okay, let me get the data type so that you can see. So what value are we expecting here? We are expecting 1.36078. So let me launch this. You can see the value that we are getting. We are getting, we are getting 1.3078, which is the actual close of this particular candle. So you can see that is the simple way of retrieving the close of a candle. So now we are not limited to just close. Like I said, we have a lot of function provided by MQL4. So we are not limited to this. We can also specify that, okay, we want the open of the candle of a particular index, So I can say I open. So just like this, it will take in the symbol, the symbol, it will take in the chart time frame that I want. So I'm telling you that whatever time frame that you are currently on, that is what you should work with. Then what index? So I can say of index 1. So now I can I can log out. I can print or alert the open. So I want to save and compile. So you can let's notice what the opening is. You can see the opening is 1.3050. So you can see that is what is giving us. So it is equivalent to this. You know what? Let's get the value for this guy. Let's get the value for this guy. So let's count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another way of counting. So instead of counting one by one, so you can just start from here. Then you have this crosshair tool, or you say Control F. Starting from here, you can just click and drag, and you'll be able to see. You can see the rightmost value, which is 5. So it is telling me that this is of index 5. Let me do that again. So starting from here, activating this tool, then you can click from here and drag to the whatever you want, whatever candle you want to get the index. So you can see this is of index 5. So I want to get the value for the opening or the close of index 5. So let me go back to my so I can simply change this back to 5. So I want to get the opening price of this particular candle on index 5. So I'll save and I'll compile, right? So now if I launch, so if I put my mouse here, you can see it is getting me the actual open of that particular candle, So that is that. So we are not just limited to this. We can also get the high. So I can get the high of that candle by saying HI. we are going to specify similar thing, which is symbol, symbol, also the time frame, then the int. You can see it is prompting me, so I do not need to memorize all of this. So now, what index? What candle index am I interested in getting the high for? So I can say 5, I can say 2, I can say 4. So far, I have that bar on my chart. So I can also get the low of that candle. So I can get the low, I can say high low, right? Then this symbol, symbol, period, and maybe the latest one, and that is that. So I'm not just limited to I close, I open, I this. So I also have other functions like the I time. So this is going to be returning time, So I can say I time, then this is going to take in the symbol, the chart symbol that I'm interested in. Then I can also specify the time. I need to specify the time frame and for what index. So if I say index 1, so that means the previously closed, the most recently closed candle. So let me quickly print this out. So you can see it's going to give us the time for the most recently closed candle. So let me launch this. So it is telling me that 16:30. Have this stored in your have this at the back of your mind, so that when I close this and I try to use this crosshair to figure out what the time and what the date and time is for this candle, you'll be able to recall and match it with this. So now you can see at the bottom, when I put my mouse on this, you can see it is telling me what it printed right here. So you can see. So that is that. So later in the lecture, we talk more about this inbuilt function. So this is a built introduction to functions. So in the next lecture, we talk more about more inbuilt functions before we go into how to write our own functions, right? Maybe we have a particular logic or a particular strategy that we want our a particular block of code to rerun, but such function is not available built into MQL4. So we want to build our function ourselves. So how can we possibly create our own function? We are going to look at that later in the lecture. But for now, let's explore few of the functions available for us by MQL4 or provided for us by MQL4. So I'll see you in the next lecture.